So, in the last session, we really dug deeper into um, some of the ideas related to validity and reliability. And if you remember, it was about not taking a position that I've done something like I recruited people, I selected them, and not matching it up with performance. That's not what we really want to do in an effective organization. We actually want to take any steps we can to prove the efficacy or efficiency or the validation of our actions. So for example, if you tried a lot of recruitment sources or different educational institutions, you tried employment testing and matched it up with performance management, then we can actually prove that what we did worked and fine tune and maybe narrow in on exactly where to go for certain types of people in the future. And then if you associate it with costs of recruitment, then of course that really helps you um, weigh the benefit of your activities, newspaper ads or using LinkedIn or whatever it might be. We also looked at some errors, some suspicions or suspects that might influence your measurements. Of course, we looked at the idea of a coefficient, simple calculation to prove whether what you did worked or not. And remember from the previous course is there's a variety of ways to prove if some number went up. For example, if you had a yield ratio or the number of applicants in and how many of those are actually successful on the job. You can use medians over years. You can use averages, I suppose, but a validity coefficient is a good, accurate number as well. And rely on Excel. Don't try to just do all this on your own. Rely on Excel and pivots to mine some of that data. We also started looking at the idea of fairness and equity, and we'll get to more of that in this session as well. Now, in session 3, we are going to get into the legal framework. Now, I think you've already taken an employment law course. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty of all of that. I think you can review that. But if you walk away with an understanding of what some of the legalities are, and not just in terms of law, but also the ethics side or maybe some regulations or just principles, fairness principles, um, then you'll be able to do recruitment and selection without getting into trouble. I mean, bottom line, but it's not just you. It's also the managers that might be interviewing and selecting certain candidates, and they might have biases and sort of stereotypical thinking, whether it's indirect or direct or systemic. We'll cover this sort of thing. So we will look at some biases and indirect and direct forms of discrimination. And we'll also look at the idea of emotional intelligence. So we're going to start looking at that. We're going to keep talking about it. In fact, I get kind of blunt about it to let you know what is it? What's the balance sheet of emotional intelligence? What is sympathy? What is empathy? And you've covered this stuff in other courses. I get it. It should be a theme throughout. So we'll do quite a bit in this session. Don't forget to read the notes after this recorded session, and also go to the discussion board to put in your thoughts and ideas.